Well, you know, as Merlin once said to King Arthur, don't dishonor your feast by rejecting what's come to it. Sit. What is life? Life is self-organized. Well, that's just extraordinary.
Yes, it is. And it means something specific, too. It means that a living system is self-maintaining, self-renewing, self-transcending.
What does self-maintaining mean?
Well, it means that a living system, although depending on its environment, is not determined by it. Take the yellow fields of rye around this island. With all the rain here, those fields should be green all year round, but every summer they turn yellow. Why? Well, to use a metaphor, each plant remembers that it originated in the hot and dry climate of southern Asia. It remembers, and not even a dramatically different climate can change its inner workings. Self-maintaining, self-organizing.
I see. What about self-renewing? What does that mean?
Take us. Like all living organisms, we are constantly replacing ourselves in continuous cycles. Much faster than you can imagine. Your pancreas, for example. Do you know that it replaces most of its cells within 24 hours? That means that you wake up with a new pancreas each morning and a new stomach lining as well. And your skin, do you know that your skin falls off at the rate of 100,000 cells a minute? Do you know that most of the dust in our homes consists of our own dead skin cells?
That'll get into a poem. Our households are filled with dead skin.
But at the same time, as all these dead cells are being shed, just as many are dividing and producing new skin. That's self-renewing.
As Heraclitus once said, a man can't step into the same river twice. Sonia says a man can't shake hands with the same man twice with the same hand, right?
Yes and no. Though most of our cells are being replaced, we do recognize each other because, you see, the pattern of our organization is still the same. That's one of the important characteristics of life. Continuous structural change, but stability in the pattern of the system's organization.
And that's all there is to life?
No, there is self-transcending. See, self-organization is not only the living systems maintaining themselves and continuously renewing themselves. It also means that they have an inherent tendency to transcend themselves, to reach out and create new forms. See, that is one of the most exciting parts to me, that the basic dynamics of evolution, it's not adaptation, it's creativity.
You mean the living systems will evolve just for the hell of it, that they'll sort of go exploring whether they need to for survival or not, so that I'm not so far out of step as I usually suppose?
No, you're not. Creativity is a basic element of evolution. Every living organism has the potential for creativity, for surprising and transcending itself.
Creating what, for instance? Beauty?
Oh, yes. Beauty, too. See, evolution is so much more than adaptation to the environment. Because what is the environment, if not a living system, which evolves and creatively adapts itself? So, which adapts to which? Each to the other. They co-evolve. Evolution is an ongoing dance, an ongoing conversation.
We are systems and the planet is a system. We don't evolve on the planet. We evolve with the planet.
Wouldn't it be extraordinarily powerful if you could introduce just that one idea into the political dialogue?
Yeah, Jack, there might be something in this for you to renew your candidacy. Well, as for Sonia and myself.
I bet you're going to say that it was my destiny to come here and meet Sonia and listen to these ideas. what am I going to do about this? I come from a country where they use 40% of the world's resources to support 6% of the world's population, which makes the population so happy and peaceful that we're the world's biggest drug market. Half our teenagers contemplate suicide, and 1 in 5 girls has tried it. Would a systems thinker give nuclear energy a second thought? We're up to our necks in it, in all of its waste.
And the most important issue of what you've just been saying is the obsessive pursuit of growth. Now that has to stop.
I know. I've been all over this 100 times. Obsessive growth, pathological growth, destructive growth. But how are you going to get anybody to accept it? What am I going to do? Where do you start?
We have to give importance to the next generation. And the next. See, it was only when we failed to include them in our scientific theories and in our pursuit of growth that we placed all living systems in jeopardy. Just contemplate that horrifying fact that we are leaving to our children the most poisonous of wastes, plutonium. It's going to remain poisonous for the next generation, and the next, and the next. In fact, it's going to remain poisonous for 500,000 years. We should never have accepted that theory, knowledge is power. We should never have accepted the idea that what's good for General Motors is good for America. We need a sustainable society, one in which our needs are being satisfied without diminishing the possibilities of the next generation. But you're asking me, what should you do? I don't know what you should do. You know what you should do. I know that what worked for me was to come here, be quiet, and take one thing at a time, think one thought to its end. Now, that was my first real step. Telling you was my second.
You can't pass the buck that easily. How about doing something direct about this? How about helping me? How about joining my staff?
What do you mean?
I don't know. Finding a way to get these ideas of yours into the political mainstream. You say it's urgent. You say the ideas are practical. I'll give you a chance to prove it. Of course, it'll be frustrating work. You'd have to watch a lot of lying and wheeling and dealing. You'd have to learn how to compromise, too. You'd have to get your hands dirty.
Well, I get them dirty the way I want, here. In my ivory tower, where I can sit and think.
Something that Jack, with his tenacious pursuit of the common good, not to mention his own career, just doesn't seem to understand how an individual can want to get away. A long, long way away. Thousands and thousands and thousands of miles away.
So that you can have the luxury of being a voice crying in the wilderness instead of being one of many voices trying to be heard over the clamor. Believe me, I can appreciate being here. I can understand why that'd be nice. I see the pedestrian nature of political work, but look, if you're going to say no, don't say anything. Just think it over.
What time does the tide actually come in?
It'll be soon now. It's going to reach its all-year high today. You can go closer. Come.
Thomas must like you. He doesn't usually have this much time for other people's ideas, do you?
Well, not yours, maybe. No. That's not nice. Yes, I like her. I like you. Yes. A lot of guts. To come here, isolate, stay put, determined to figure things out until you had something to offer, a couple of sods like you and I. You know, a lot of people talk about doing things like that, but how many people actually roll the dice and do it? You could have stayed as long, read as much, and decided that you had absolutely nothing to offer. And isolation in and of itself is a very scary thing, Jack. So, yeah, I like you. I like you, too. Very brave of you to listen. I'd been disappointed if you hadn't. That would have bothered me, but you know, Jack, I'm not so sure that strong-arming her into a Washingtonian office is exactly where she needs to be right now. In fact, it may be exactly where she doesn't need to be.
What's eating you?
You're right. What is this, group therapy?
All of this is covered in water when the tide comes in, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Including the pastures. Must take a special breed of sheep to be able to graze around here at all with all this salt. And how could the grass grow without the manure and the sheep grazing on it? And I wouldn't be surprised if the people around here have a taste for salty lamb, so the people are in it too. The sea, the grass, the people, the sheep.
You asked me what the lobster is weaving down there with its golden feet. I tell you, the ocean knows this. You say, who is the Acidia waiting for in its transparent bell? I tell you, it's waiting for time, like you. You say, who does the Macrocystis algae hug in its arms? Study it. Study it at a certain hour in a certain sea, I know. You question me about the wicked tusk of the narwhal, and I respond by describing to you how the sea unicorn, with a harpoon in it, dies. You inquire about the kingfisher's feathers, which tremble in the pure springs of the southern shores. I want to tell you that the ocean knows this, that life in its jewel boxes is endless as the sand, impossible to count, pure, and the time among the blood-colored grapes has made the petal hard and shiny, filled the jellyfish with light, untied its knot, letting its musical threads fall from a horn of plenty made of infinite mother of pearl. I'm nothing but the empty net which has gone on ahead of human eyes, dead in the darknesses, of fingers accustomed to the triangle, longitudes on the timid globe of an orange. I walked around like you, investigating the endless star. And in my net during the night, I woke up naked. The only thing caught? A fish. Trapped inside the wind. Pablo Neruda.